Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, V. Jesse Smith. Excited to have him here as the CEO of Heights of Greatness Leadership Institute. Again, that's hgli.org from beautiful Palmdale, California. Welcome back. How are you today, sir?
Thank you. Thank you. I am blessed. I'm happy to be here with you today, Jill. It's a great day. It's beautiful and sunny in California. So I'm enjoying the day.
I'm sure. Well, thank you for being here. For
Sure.
those new timers out there, tell us a little bit about the work you're doing.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So I do leadership training. I am the president and CEO of an organization called Heights of Greatness Leadership Institute. We focus on leadership development and public speaking, and I encourage anybody, if you're ever looking for a keynote speaker, looking for someone to come out and do a workshop on leadership development, or personal development, we're here. We're here to assist. We provide coaching. We provide mastermind groups. We seek to develop the internal power that's inside of you. And often people feel as though that they can go further, but they don't know how. And so our responsibility, the purpose of our creation is to come in to show you how to take your leadership to the next level of greatness. And so we're excited about that. And if you ever want to reach out to me, of course, it's at hgli.org. And you can also reach me at vjessesmithspeaks.com. I would love to come out and just talk to your audience. And trust me, you'll be inspired. Guaranteed.
All right. I know we always are every time we speak. Just a reminder, the website again, and any other form of contact before we start.
Yes, the website is www.hgli.org. And you can also reach me at vjessesmith, vjessesmithspeaks.com, vjessesmithspeaks.com. And that's my speaking website. So if you want to know, what I sound like other than what you're hearing today, feel free to visit that site. Love to come out and just talk with you.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So what did you have in mind for us today?
So again, we focus on leadership development. So everything that I do will be focusing on leadership. And I just think leadership, everything, as Dr. John Maxwell says, rises and falls on leadership. And today I just want to talk about leadership environment. Are you creating a leadership environment for yourself? And I think that's so important because sometimes we get so rushed into things that we forget about the fact that, one, we're leaders, right? And so we're leaders who have to be authentic. And I think that authentic leadership is what is needed now more so than ever before. And when I say authentic leadership, I mean being yourself, not trying to be someone else, not trying to act like somebody else. There are great leaders out there. You don't need to be like them. You've got to be your original self. And so I've labeled something called real. For me, a leadership environment has to be real. And each of those letters represent something. So if you're going to be an authentic leader, one who's not trying to copy somebody, but who is trying to exhibit their own authenticity, you have to be real about it. So the R stands for relationship. A leader has to have the ability to be able to relate to people. And that's what I realized. It doesn't matter how well you speak, how much money you have, how well you dress. I mean, I think I look kind of dressed pretty good today, but that's not making me a leader. What makes me a leader is that I'm able to have a relationship with you. I can talk to you, Jill. I think you're a powerful individual. I just love speaking with you, right?
You're so sweet. No. I just like good people. I'm just blessed to have a job where I get to talk to people and meet people like you who are just awesome and really have their own niche. And it just enlightens me. And I just thank you. Pleasure always having you here too.
That's what it's all about, though. I mean, I can see that there's an all about you that carries a sense of you're relatable, right? And that's what leadership is all about. Leadership is not about title. I don't want folks to get caught up. I got to be a president. I got to be a director. You could be a secretary and still be a leader. You could be a receptionist and still be a leader because leadership is identified within you, but you have to be relatable, and relationships are important. So I ask the question to people all the time, are you relatable as a leader or are you detractible? In other words, when people come to you, are they detracted by you? Do they not even want to connect with you? Are they repelled by you? Right? Because that's important. How you bring people into your circumference is important. So it talks about what kind of leadership environment you're in. When folks come around you, are they influenced by you or are they repelled by you? I mean, that's something we don't like to hear, but I realize even in coaching clients, I have to say that to people. There are some people who are in leadership positions, and even though they're in a title of position of leadership, they literally repel people. People don't even want to come to them because of their attitude. The worst thing you can be is in a leadership position and have a horrible attitude. That is so detrimental. And most people, I think I said on your show a couple of weeks ago, People don't leave jobs, they leave supervisors, right? They leave leaders, right? Because it's the leadership that's making the environment so toxic. So you have to make sure you're in the right environment, and that requires you necessarily having a great relationship with people. And so who are you creating relationships with? If you want to be a leader, if you want to be successful in your business and in your organization, do you have relationships? Are you reaching outside your
Yeah.
comfort zone into your empowerment zone, talking to people who are doing things that you want to talk to? And when you reach out to people, don't reach out just for your own benefit. Reach out to add value. Let people know that not only am I want to talk to you and I want to develop a relationship with you, but I want to add value to what I'm bringing to you, right? So I
Okay.
come on this show, on this podcast with you, Jill, because
Yeah,
I really believe I add value to your show. I think I
for
add something
sure.
that people can benefit from and they can work with. But I also love developing a relationship and just talking to you, right? Just developing that camaraderie,
Thank
right?
you.
Because that's important. And I see the vision and mission in you. So I want to add to that. That's what leaders do. They add value to people. And so in your leadership environment, are you creating relationships where you can actually add value to people? To be a relatable leader, you have to create an environment where you are seen as adding value to people. Now, when I say value to people, I want to talk to people who may be working, right? They
Okay.
may be in a position and they probably have, I don't know if whether this exists where you are, Jill. It probably doesn't, because it seems like you have a good leadership environment where you are. But I have been on jobs and I have spoken to people where they are working and it's a toxic environment. The supervisor is toxic. The person sitting next to you is
Oh,
toxic.
wow.
They're just they come in they come to work on a Monday morning and they
Uh-huh.
are just toxic. I mean, you just want to turn around and smack them. Don't smack them. Don't beat them up though. but because they're so tough, they have a negative attitude and negative personality. And so what I think is required in situations like that is that you as a leader have to have what I call a relationship equity with people. A
Okay.
relationship equity with people, which means it means that there are people who will talk to you because they know you value them and they know you don't want anything specifically from them other than greatness, right? And so I've
Mm-hmm.
learned to develop relationship equity with people. There are some people where I used to work where they were just difficult to deal with and the supervisor couldn't deal with them. So what would the
So
supervisor do?
true.
They would come to me and say, Jesse, you seem to have more of an equitable relationship with this person. Can you talk to them and find out why they keep coming in late? Why they keep getting the files wrong, why they keep, right? Leaders are able to develop relationship equity. And I think that's one of the great things that about a leader. When you have relationship equity and you can talk to people that other people can't talk to, man, you're in a world by yourself. So I think that's so important. When you can relate to people, they will communicate with you. So is your leadership environment creating
Yeah.
relationships? That's what I want folks to understand. If it is creating relationships, then I guarantee you, and I want your listening audience to hear me well, I guarantee you will grow in your business, you'll grow in your organization, you'll
Okay.
grow in your church, you will grow in your surroundings because that's what leadership is all about, building relationships. And I always equate it to, for me, relationship building is like you're a gardener. As a gardener goes
It's so
into
true. Yep.
their place, their garden. They're building relationships, man. They're making sure that the plants are fine, the soil is right. I mean, that's important. And they're not concerned about themselves. And that's what leaders about. Leadership shouldn't be concerned about you. You are not the center of attention. When the gardener gets into that garden, that the plants are the center of attention. And that's why the plants grow so beautifully. The soil is just right because they know the kind of relationship they have with the gardener. I want to ask you, also
Sure.
what I think
Anything.
about a gardener is that a gardener always makes sure that the plants or the vegetables are separate by themselves and they're not mixing with other things. So collard greens won't mix with
Ooh,
onions,
that's
right?
I love that. That's a good
Onions
one.
won't mix with tomatoes, right? You
Mm-hmm.
got to make sure that when you're developing a relationship, that you have people in your environment that are, first of all, fertilizing the soil that you have. That's the surroundings that you have, your personality, the attitude, and that they are helping you thrive. They are helping you grow. You can't have good people and bad people mixed in your environment because it's going to create a disaster. That's why the gardener always separates the vegetables from the other vegetables because they got to make sure that they don't mix, right? And so as leaders, we got to make sure that we have the right people in our environment. Some of us are coming from a world where it used to be negative, but we still have friends there. And I submit to you, I'm not asking you to get rid of your friends, but I'm asking you to get rid of that negativity. Because as long as you have that negativity in your life, you could never grow as a business leader. You could never grow as a director or community person. So it's important that you create a leadership where you're creating and developing the right environment. That's important on relationships. Any questions on that before? Because I just want to hit the other ones just to make sure everybody's following where I'm going.
I'm good. You're good. You're good. Yes, go ahead. This
Awesome.
is
So the
good.
E stands for elevation. Elevation. In a leadership environment, you have to make sure that you're being elevated. That
Uh-huh.
means you have to make sure you're growing. Elevation is about growth. If you're not growing in a leadership environment, whether it's at your work, your church, your
Yeah.
organization, you don't need to be there. There's a great individual, a friend of mine, whose book I used to always read, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He said, if you're the smartest one in your group, then you need a new group. If you're the smartest
Oh,
one in your group, you need a new group. It means you're not growing. You're not being elevated in your environment. So you got to change environments. And if you can't change environments that you're in, then you have to make sure that you be the one to change the environment, right? And so you got to get out of that and create a new environment where people, watch this now, are smarter than you. People are
yeah.
smarter than you. There's
Don't be
nothing wrong with
intimidated
that.
by
Don't
that. You're
be
just going to
intimidated by
learn
it.
more from them,
You
right?
can learn from more. Exactly. You can learn. But we have an ego and we feel like I got this title. I'm the president. Look, I'm the president of my organization where I work at also. I'm the director. I always ask people who know things much more than I do. I
Hmm.
welcome that, but one, because it's a learning process for me, but also it adds value to them. See, that's what leaders do. They add value to people. So when I come to you and ask you something that I know you're good at, I know you're supreme at, do you know
Yeah,
what that does to that individual? And so you're creating now an elevated environment of leadership where you're now growing. And that's so essential that we grow in our environment. I ask you, the
so
friends
true.
that you're around right now, the people that are they growing you or are they stifling you? Are they bringing you down? You know, leadership often is like an elevator. It can take you up or it can take you down. Who are the friends in your life? Who are the people in your life that's taking you up? And who are those individuals that's
Bringing
taking
it
you
down.
down? Right?
Ooh.
That's so critical. I love my dear friend Les Brown. He said it. He said, some people are so negative, you can take them in a dark room and they'll develop. That's so true. That is so true.
That is
Some people are
awesome.
so negative, you can take them in and they'll develop. So you got to make sure you
Wow.
get out of that kind of toxic environment and create a leadership environment where you're being elevated and you can grow. Elevation is a leadership environment where you can take you move from one level of consciousness or one level of knowledge to the next. That means you have to be growing and learning something every single day. As I talk to you, I got up this morning, I read books, right? I read at least 5 books a month because I need to know what's out there. I want to learn. I want to be able to take it to the next level. Sometimes I go back and I read my own books. And can I just say I'm inspired by my own books? I don't know if
As
you
you
know
should
that,
be.
but I'm inspired by them. I go back and I read my own. I'm like, wow, that's so powerful because I wrote it so long ago. But when I go back and read it, I always learn something new from it. It's often like the Bible, 66 books in the Bible, and I've read it from top to cover. But every time I go back and read the Bible, I learn something new. It's so powerful. It's so instructive. It's so impactful. So as a leader, you have to make sure you're being elevated every day. You're learning something. So how do you know when you're not in an elevated leadership environment? Which is a good question for me.
Yeah.
Here's when you know when you're not in an elevated leadership environment. When you're
Yes.
always around gossip.
Ah, gosh,
When
I've
you're
been there.
around
I've had so many jobs in the coffee clutch. Oh, I can't near the horrible.
Exactly. It's just gossip. And they are more concerned about other people growing than you growing, right? And
Hmm.
so that gossip is dangerous. And I always talk about that in the church. The number one thing that can destroy a church is gossip, right? People are so busy in other folks' business that they're not concerned and focused on the business of themselves. So that's one thing. Make sure you're not in a leadership environment where it's
So
just
true.
gossip. You want to be able to grow. And the person with whom you're with, whether they are in your job or your home or in your community circle, they want to grow along with you. Number two, what creates a toxic environment is, or a limited environment where you can't elevate or grow, is limited vision. People have to have a vision, and you got to have a vision greater
True.
than yourself. Can I say
Yeah.
to you, if your dreams are not big, and if your dreams don't scare you, you are not dreaming
Hmm.
big enough. You're not dreaming big enough. Your dreams and your vision has to be wide and big, has to get to a point where often it scares you and makes you think you can't do it.
So
That's when you
true.
know you have the ability to do it, right? I just believe God equips us with a vision to be able to do what He's called us to do. So, what is a vision? A vision is a picture of tomorrow that you're working on today. A vision is a picture of tomorrow that you're working on today. So you should be working with people who are helping you to work
Yep.
with the vision that you can
And
do tomorrow.
lift you up and don't hold you down,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you.
All right,
Yes.
hold on. At this time, remind us how we can reach you because we're a little over halfway through. So
Okay.
I just got to make sure we
Oh,
tell
I'm so
everyone.
sorry. I get excited. Yes.
Sorry.
Reach me at vjessesmithspeaks.com. You can connect with me right there. You can also reach me at hgli.org. That's our website. And you can also reach me at vjessesmith at gmail.com. And if you want to call me, I welcome you. Call me directly, 661-992-9052, 661-992-9052. How much more time do I have?
We have 11 minutes.
11 minutes? Okay, good.
We're
I'm
good.
good on time. I'm good on time. All right, good. So yeah, you can definitely reach me that way. What's the third one that limits elevated leadership environment? The third one I wanted to mention is what I call monetized thinking. In other words, everybody thinks just like you. You don't need to be around people who just think just like you. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
around people and have an environment where people who are thinking above you, thinking outside the box, people who are saying that, you know what, there are other people who are saying we can't do this. You have people around you that says, you know what, I think we can do this. Here's why it's unconventional. It's not
Yeah.
traditional. That's when you know you have people around you and you have a leadership environment that's going to do what? It's going to take you to the next level of greatness, right? That's when you know you have people who are willing to take you. If you got people who are telling you, no, I don't think we can do that, Jill, that's just not going to happen. I know you
Yeah.
have good intentions, but that's never been done before. Get them out of your circle quick. Because they will always limit you. They're on that same level of thinking and they're not helping you to grow. So it's important that you make sure that you take folks who are going to be able to take you to the next level. I love what Dr. John Maxwell said. He said that sameness can sometimes be the death to anything. Sameness. If everybody's just doing the same thing and nothing is happening, no growth, is at a standstill, that can lead to death. It can cripple you, can lead to a paralysis of analysis, and you never move. So you need to make sure you
Paralysis of
take it to
analysis. I like that. I'm
you
sorry.
got to take it to the next level, right? You can't get stuck where you are. You need people around you who can take you to the next level. So do you have people in your environment that are bold, that are risk takers, right? That are achievers, that are willing to go to the next level and sometimes push you into your greatness, even when you can't see the ladder. They're willing to push you, but be right along there with you. That's the kind of environment you want to create. These are individuals that look for difficulties, but in the difficulties that they see, like you, but on a higher level, they see opportunities that can lead to inevitable prosperity. That's the kind of leadership you want. That's who I make sure I welcome into my environment because I know they're going to help me move. So don't get stuck with people who just think like you. You know, people, I like the way you think, but they're not helping you think a little higher. That's not healthy for you either. So they have to be removed. And these people who help you think higher than where you are, let me tell you what they'll do. They will remove the ceiling of limitation from the mind and the soul of human development. And I promise you that that's what we teach in Heights of Greatness Leadership Institute. That's our mission. That's our purpose. What's our vision, our purpose? It is to remove the ceiling of limitation on the mind, the soul, and the body of human development, right? And so we want you to go beyond where you are and where you're supposed to go. What's the third in real is acceleration. Acceleration. We want people to accelerate. You need to be in an environment where you actually are accelerating. Some people are in environments where they're actually have been in that environment and literally, Jill, there's no growth. There's no movement. They've been on a job for 30 years and they hate it with a passion. I'm telling you, I know people. I make sure they're not in my leadership environment, but I know people who are brilliant. They're smart, but they're afraid to step out on their greatness. They're afraid of the power inside of them. They're afraid of the leadership that's inside of them. So they're stuck where they are, and so there's no acceleration. Listen, we're living in an age and time right now where everything is counted on speed. Acceleration is important. You got to be able to move, and you got to be able to move with strategy and with quickness. And so, are you in a place right now where your environment, where you've been here for a period of time, and you've had no movement. That means you got to find people that you can bring into your environment that will take you to the next level, that will help accelerate where you want to go, that will help speed up where you want to go. That's critical. And if you can't do that, then you're going to be stuck there for a long time. And here's the bad part about that. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be miserable. So I asked you the question, how long have you been there? 2, 3 years? Do you have a pressing need or want that you want to be able, or that you know that people need to know about, but you haven't shared it with them yet? Acceleration means you got to start not tomorrow. You got to start today. Well, I work from 9 to 5. I get it. You got to have a job. You got to be in a mode of survival. But what are you doing from 5 p.m. to 12 midnight? What are you doing during that period? Are you watching as the world turns? Because the world is already turning and you're still stuck, right? Are you watching Family Feud? Trust me, you don't need to watch Family Feud. I'm sure there's a feud in your family right now that you can get into. You need to focus on your leadership and focus on your environment and make sure you take yourself to the next level of greatness and start accelerating where God wants you to go. You can't stay at the same place. So acceleration means that it may mean that you have to, let me say this with understanding. Sometimes this may mean that you want to stop moving because you're afraid of failure.
Okay.
And I want to say to people who are goal orientated, who know that they can take their leadership to the next level of greatness, but they're not doing it, it's because of them failing. They're afraid of failure or they're afraid of disappointment. But you can't let that stop you. And I want to speak into your spirit today and into your consciousness. Whoever is listening to me, Jill, I want
we all are.
You can't let failure stop you. Failure serves as a foundation for success. Sometimes you've got to fail in order to know what success is all about. And so I have learned you got to keep on moving. You got to keep on climbing. You got to keep on rolling. You got to keep on striving.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, make sure that when you are looking to excel, that you have clarity of purpose. Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say to you about this. When you have clarity of purpose, or they're making clarity of purpose important, you have a better understanding of whatever comes before you. You will know whether it is opportunity or whether it is a distraction. When you have clarity of purpose, you will be able to determine whether you have an opportunity in front of you or whether you have a distraction in front of you. You can't do that unless you have clarity of purpose. And so you got to know exactly what it is that I want to do. Where do I want to go? Look, I know I want to be a leader. I know I want to be a public speaker. I know I want to get in front of stages and inspire people and add value. I know that. So I know that whatever opportunity comes before me, if it doesn't align with that to help me accelerate to where I want to go, I can't have that as part of my leadership environment, even if the money's good. Let me tell you, not all money is good. You can take money, but if that money stifles your vision, if it stifles your goal, if it stifles who you really are and your true authenticity, then you will die an individual who's just poor and broke. Trust me. So you want to make sure that you are living your purpose. I always quote my famous book, what profit the man that he gained the whole world and does what? Lose his soul. So don't get into that process of looking for money. That's not where your joy is. It makes you good. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying run for money. Look, money is important. Money is truly important. It's right up there with oxygen, but you can't let that destroy you. You can't let that consume your life. So make sure you accelerate. And if you engage in failure, look at failure as a setback. It may be a setback, but it's really a setup for a strong comeback. So don't you get discouraged. Don't you get frustrated. Don't you give up and say, I got no friends to support me. I got nobody. No, if you keep doing what you're doing, the right person will show up at the right time to do the right thing to take you to the right place where you need to be. So stay focused on that. Put more time into your leadership to accelerate where you want to go. Someone once asked the CEO, I don't know if it was Chick-fil-A, I think it was Chick-fil-A, the CEO, they asked him, how can we excel better? How can we sell more sandwiches and sell more of our products? And he said this powerful thing, which blew me away. He said, if we want to sell better, if we want to be able to grow bigger than where we are, this is what we got to do. We got to get better at what we're doing. Get better at what you're doing. Get better at what you're doing. That's when you get better at what you're doing, more money will come. When you get better at what you're doing, your organization will grow. When you get better at what you're doing, your leadership environment will increase. That will bring people in here that will help you excel to the next level of greatness. So get better at what you're doing. And the last one is leadership. No, so in the word real, we've talked about relationships, we've talked about elevation, we've talked about acceleration. Now I want to talk about in that L. That L is something important for me, because that L in your leadership environment stands for leadership and learning. Leadership and learning. In your environment as a leader, you must make sure that you are first a leader. Jill, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken with, and they're in positions of leadership, and they don't even know they're a leader. They don't even identify themselves as a leader. Oh, I'm just a manager. Oh, I'm just a supervisor. Oh, I'm just a coordinator. Oh, I just lead the choir. Oh, you are a leader. If you are a receptionist, you're a leader. Dr. John Maxwell wrote a book called The 360-Degree Leader. I encourage everybody to go get that book, because it talks about leadership no matter where you are in your life, no matter where you are. If you are the custodian in a big corporation, you are a leader. Now, how you define your leadership is important, right? You have to know how to define your leadership. And can I say, everybody has their own definition of leadership. John Maxwell has his own definition of leadership. Les Brown, their own definition of leadership. Jill, I'm sure you may have your own definition of leadership. I have my own definition of leadership, and I encourage people, define your leadership, because if you don't define your leadership, somebody will define your leadership for you. And you know how their definition will be? They will define you as not being a leader. That's what I realized. They will define you as not being a leader, and you are a leader. For me, leadership is identifying your innate, unique gift. Your innate, unique gift that has been given to you, that you don't even have to work at it. You are good at it once you start applying it and showing it and exhibiting it to the people. It is for the purpose of the advancement and the upliftment of humanity. That's, to me, what leadership is. It is an innate gift defined right within yourself that is done for the purpose of you using it to advance and further the goal of humanity. That, to me, is what leadership is. That's why I see leadership in your audience. I see leadership in you. You have a gift of what you do, Jill. I can't do that. Even though I may want to do that, I can't do what you do like the way you do it. I might can do it and tap at it, but you do it so well with such ease. I don't know, maybe it could be the years that you've been doing it. It could be something that you've been called to do, but the way in which you interact with your audience and your guests, that's a blessing. It just shows you that you are operating out of your gift. I'm not saying that's your only gift, but I'm saying that's a gift that resonates with people like myself and people with your listening audience.
Well, thank you.
That's leadership. That's leadership. We have to be able to share that. So I asked the question, are you a leader, or are you being followed by leaders? Am I right?
Yeah, we're out of time. I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
Not a problem. Listen, the only thing I just want to share with people is like, listen, make sure that you're a leader and you're a learner. The purpose of leadership is to learn, unlearn, and relearn every single day. That's what leadership is all about. When you learn, you grow, and when you learn, you read, and readers are leaders. So it's time to start reading into your leadership so that you can be the best that God has called you to be. Thank you so much.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. You are on fire today. Tell us how we can contact you. Thank you.
Again, connect with me at vjessesmithspeaks.com. Reach me at vjessesmith@gmail.com, and you can check out my website, hgli.org.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Right now, so just keep trying. If you don't get through it, we're doing a new development on it. But connect.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
992-9052.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
when I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.